So for any women who date men, if he's jealous of you, he'll ruin your life. He will ruin your life, I promise. And we are starting to realize, because so many women are talking on the internet now about what's happening inside these houses. One of the biggest red flags in general is a man who is insecure. That man will ruin your life. And one of the ways that it shows is when they're jealous. Now, they're not going to come out and be like, I'm jealous of you. They are going to sabotage things that are important to you. So most men are lonely. Y'all know I have talked about this. Anyone new here, I wrote a whole article about it. Men have no friends and women bear the burden. So that's just one way, right? They'll sabotage your friendship and burden you with all the things you're not getting, right? That's one way. I did not write this one, but I did go over it like a year ago. And it is very interesting. I highly suggest you read it. You want to understand how much men are jealous of how much you love your kid. Imagine that. Now, I know some of that is somehow natural or whatever, but if men don't know what to do with this, how to not punish a woman for literally loving her child and giving the child all the attention it needs, because he is, husband that is, a king baby who wants to have the attention from mommy, then you got a big problem, because that man is going to punish you for giving your child the care that it needs. And he may even punish that kid. You better watch out. Today, I want to talk about the way men's insecurity and their jealousy will literally sabotage your career. And if you ever be able to leave this loser, you got to make sure your career's not sabotaged. A lot of women don't realize that men are sabotaging their career. Let's go over an example in what I like to call, my column is not a column, but it's a response to a column anyway. Before I do that, I have to mention, I have a Patreon. Please join my Patreon. I hate promoting stuff, but apparently that's part of the Gen X generation. We want to be sellouts. I'm going to do that one soon, because holy crap, I just learned a lot. Anyway, follow my Patreon. Even if you can't afford a tier, I send some stuff out to free members to keep up with me, share some stuff about France, about my life randomly. And then if you want lives and all that other stuff, you can join and share, whatever. Okay, done. Let's get into it. In the column, what I would like to call one day, here we go. What the hell now? Okay, toot toot. Mose has done rotisserie chicken. Whoever said but let's get into Ask Carolyn. I really love this column. Okay, dear Carolyn, something I've written in Something I've written in and starred in premiered to rave reviews in the national paper, sold out houses, etc. Okay, that's a big deal. Right out of the gate, I am very impressed by whoever wrote into this, because if a national paper, that means Washington Post, New York Times, one of the big ones, reviewed it, which means it's a big deal. Rave reviews, sold out shows. I don't know if you're an actress, but you're a writer too. Holy crap, I'm impressed by you. But it's like my partner is doing his best to ruin my big week. I'm just going to tell you right now, for those people who do not have time, that's what he's doing. That's always what they're doing. This is what insecure men do. They hate when you have success. I'm not saying that jealousy, okay, we can't always control our feelings. You know, I did a video recently talking about how whenever I find myself jealous of something, I realize, my jealousy actually helps point me in the direction of something that I actually want to do. If I don't want to do it, I usually don't have a big feeling around, unless there's some sort of weird entitlement going on, which I need to unpack. But her husband, either he hates her or he's jealous and wants to be pursuing his own creative life, and he won't. So whenever she does something he's not doing that he knows he should be doing, instead of being happy for her, he's hating himself, because he hates himself so much, because patriarchy has taught him to think that his feelings and his whatever are always more important than hers. And because, he is an entitled king baby, then he should always feel better and have more success. Then this is a threat to him. Yeah, he is trying to ruin your week, okay? Either he's a blocked artist, and let me tell you, blocked artists are terrifying. Blocked artists are the most self-sabotaging, dark energies to be around, and oftentimes end up turning to addiction. There's so much creativity there, but because of fear or whatever that they're not looking at, not dealing with well, they self-medicate and then hate the people who are actually creating. So I already know all this about him, and I haven't met him yet. He has barely spoken to me other than to call me selfish by leaving. Oh, here we go. Now, I'm not even know if I'm allowed to say the word H-A-T-E because my last video got demonetized on. So I'm going to be using even more ridiculous terms now because I don't understand the rules. Anyway, anytime a man is calling you selfish, assume that you're probably not. Okay, now that was a huge statement. But what men who have not been unpacking the entitlement that comes with patriarchy, whenever they see, whenever they call you selfish, it's because you are assuming that whatever it is you're doing is as important as what they're doing, and that to them is always going to be a selfish. Whenever I hear a man call me selfish, other than maybe a man who I respect the opinion of, there are a few of them in my life. They wouldn't even use those words usually because our conversation would actually be about something, about the thing, right? Without name calling. Anytime a man says selfish, I'm like, oh, I must be doing something right. Every time a man says a woman is being selfish, you can just assume that that is his like entitlement under patriarchy speaking. Just the same way that like literally studies that they've done where they're like, men are like, women talk the whole time, they're so selfish. And then they found out that men actually spoke more in the meeting, but men are used to women not speaking at all. You know what I mean? So it's always like a really good, anytime they're calling you selfish, it's because you are probably asserting your right to be at their level. And they don't like that. They don't like that. He's the king, not you. Now that I know it involves childcare, the fact that they have a kid together, and she can't have 1 week to celebrate this huge accomplishment. Well, we already see the problem now. I don't even know if we need to go on, but we will. Leaving our son each evening to perform and to say my costume is oh no. Y'all, I like skimmed this weeks ago, and I also sent it out to a couple of the tiers on my Patreon, get their feedback. I'm gonna actually include their feedback after I read this. I don't remember this. What are you saying? Are you body shaming her? What, like, okay, this is like 5 red flags before we've even gotten into like halfway through. Insulting you. If you've been here long enough, you know what I think about all this. I just can't fathom why he'd act this way the week I need his support. It was terrifying to launch this. Yeah! One of the most vulnerable things you can do when you are doing something creative, especially when money is tied to it, and especially if you end up in a national paper, it is so vulnerable. It's so vulnerable. Like, I'm a writing coach. I haven't done it much because this takes up all my time. I'll probably get back to it as soon as I can. But that's the first thing I teach, how to navigate the vulnerability of launching something into the world. Because even if you don't get criticized, if it does really bad, it's a terrible feeling. But even when it does well, I'd argue it's even scarier. It's even scarier. You don't even know what to do with it. When that article, the Men Have No Friends thing, went viral, that was one of the scariest days of my life. I had been praying for one of my articles to do that well, to be appreciated. And I poured so much work into that. And I was so proud of that work. And I had a feeling it was going to do really well. But then when I actually got that, oh my God. Sleepless nights, y'all. Because you get a lot of hate with things that do well. Even when you get so much love, the pressure, the attention, you feel so exposed. And that one wasn't even about my life. That was a reported story. None of my life was in that. That was all views of other people. So I didn't even feel that level of vulnerability that I normally would with my own story. Doing well is a scary, scary experience with creativity. And this is what this man's doing. Okay, the point is, anyone creative, when you put something out into the world, it is, no matter how well it does or how bad it does, It is scary, and especially at the level of like national papers writing about it. So what she really needs is someone who actually wants her to succeed. A man who acts like this dude does not. What you don't need is the person who's supposed to be your biggest fan, your number one hater. And that's what he is. It is so much better to be single and alone and have friends than to have someone in your house who secretly wishes for your downfall. Even though they benefit from you being successful, they would rather you not make as much money than your success making them feel small. This man's gonna punish her. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Okay, let's keep going. I can't have my ex's way. The week I need the most support. It was terrifying to launch this, and I don't need someone berating me late into the night before the wow. Okay, here's another red flag. Berating. Okay, so he's making her feel insecure about her looks. My guess is he's like making her feel like body shaming her. All this stuff, and then this. Late into the night before the big day. Y'all, I cannot tell you. I can't emphasize how big of a red flag this is. This man is abusive. This man's abusive. This is what and again, abuse is not always physical. They can unalive you. They can play the long game of unaliving you slowly through your nervous system. That's a way more effective way to extract as much labor from you as possible while also making sure you never leave them. This is what he's doing. I'm sorry, but once you see this pattern in every single abuser, you can't unsee this. The night before the big day, late into the night. This, I'm telling you, let me remind you, actually, that men will abuse you with sleep. And one of the things, ask anyone who has been abused, whether it was like emotional or physical, which I think even emotional is physical because they're different, but they're the same, right? I don't know if I've ever met any who didn't use sleep deprivation or messing with your sleep somehow as a way to do their thing. I didn't realize that was a thing until I got on TikTok and found out, and I was like, oh my God, that's right. That's why he kept me up late every night and why he got up at the crack of dawn. There was always a reason to wake me up so I was never rested, and you can't think straight when you're not rested, which affects your work, affects your decision making, affects your judgment, and makes you not really think of escape plans or not see how much of I almost said a D-bag. I don't even know what I'm allowed to say anymore. D-bag. A-hole. He is. I can't shake the thought that he's trying to sabotage me. That's because your intuition is telling you this. That's why you can't shake it. You know, I've been realizing that a lot of times my intuition is the steady. It's the steady thing. Can't shake it. Now, I have wild and crazy thoughts all the time, and I don't trust them until I see it's consistent. That it keeps saying like, right? Because if I acted on every thought that I had, I would burn my life down to the ground 1,000,000 times. Because I also have bonkers thoughts about things that are really good for me too. But this, if you can't shake the feeling that something not right, that is your intuition. You gotta listen to it. And this is something I won't be able to forget, nor should you. How do I talk to him about this? Honey, you don't want to talk about him. You need to get out. I'm sorry, that sounds extreme. This is the beginning of it. Now, remember, we talk all the time, so I just want y'all to, want him in. I want to also acknowledge he may not have always shown these signs right away. There's something that has been well documented called the switch up. So I can educate as much as I possibly can, me and my mutuals, about what to look for, where the red flags. And a lot of times they will reveal this stuff very subtly, which is why the more you learn about these red flags for, abusers or just narcissists or just really selfish men who are going to exploit your labor, the better you can make decisions. But especially if you don't know what this is, that switch up will completely come out of nowhere. I'm not saying that it doesn't always come out of nowhere, but I am saying that the more you learn about the red flags, sometimes even if you don't see anything, something feels off. So I like to be, I don't ever want to victim blame at all, but I also don't want people to think that there's nothing you can do to at least help educate yourself and learn what red flags are and what aren't red flags. Anyway, dear Big Wig, this is on its face the least remarkably hostile behavior. Oh, I love that she used the word hostile. Thank you, Carolyn. I usually agree with you, and I'm so glad right out of the gate you're like, So be straightforward. This was huge for me. I can see it as a success for us and want to share it with you. While you go mostly silent except to berate me, call me selfish, question my devotion to our child, I want to add right here, I have never met, I don't know what it's like to experience this, but I've never met a mother in my life, in my personal life, who doesn't struggle with mom guilt. They feel guilty about things that's not at all their fault. I don't know where this comes from. I think some of it might be, most of it's probably social conditioning, but some of it might actually be some sort of like evolutionary thing. Hey, what are you like? But mom guilt is a thing. And sometimes actually my mom friends like to reach out to me as someone who's not a mom to help check them on things, because like I feel this about this thing, and other moms like also think I should feel guilty, but it seems weird. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I always find it really helpful to talk to someone outside of something, and the things that moms feel bad about: showering, feeding yourself, working things into your life that fill the well so that you actually have all of this to give to your kids. The mom guilt is real, and men, they know about this. A lot of them don't seem to have it, but they know you have it. So I swear, y'all, they will weaponize anything to be able to get away with doing nothing. They will exploit your labor. They will exploit your hope. Oh, maybe he'll get better. No. They'll exploit your patience. They'll exploit your trauma responses. They'll exploit everything. Right? They weaponize everything. And your mom guilt, they love to do this. Maybe you're just not a good mom. I mean, how much you want to bet this woman is literally the primary parent, the default parent, and he 1 week with something that he's like, you're so selfish. Our kid's never going to forget this. He'll never get over that. Okay. Child anchors, am I wrong? Please help me understand. However you phrase it, the point is to state what you observed, repeat back to them exactly what they said. That's what she's saying here. How you feel about it, and that you are open to his version of events in case you misread him. All right, that's giving him a tiny chance to take back that unbelievably unhinged behavior. Give him a chance to make it right. Because I don't ever want to be like, just burn the whole house down, right? I guess it depends on what kind of man this is. Like, is this the first time he's done this? If it's the first time, okay, maybe he doesn't understand how selfish he's being. But if this is a pattern here, honey, you are screwed. Anyway, if he doesn't, then best case, you're looking at a partner who reacts to stress or fear or complicated feelings by sulking and lashing out. That's the best case, which means he is, what does that sound like? That sounds like a bad thing. Worst case, you're right about the sabotage and need to figure out your next steps with someone who can't sing backup. Oh! I hope it doesn't come to that and he just says, ugh, sorry, I was nervous and I cracked. But, I mean, how much, y'all, come on. Sometimes the switch up that so many women talk about happens with as soon as you get married, as soon as you have a child, as soon as he loses his job, which sometimes it's like, maybe he did it on purpose. So many men just don't want to work. But love to call themselves a breadwinner. I'm a provider. Okay, provider of nothing but stress. But another thing is like when men get retired, if they have a major illness or a physical condition, like sometimes anything will like expose their real character, how they really feel about you, i.e., and that might be this moment in the national spotlight. She finally has this huge thing, and now his character has been revealed. Or maybe he's been a great supportive partner all along, and he doesn't realize he's selfish. I will give a little bit of grace for that. We don't know their whole history. Now, one of the readers said, learn about narcissism. Narcissists are famous for this stuff. Down to the guilt trip about leaving your child to do work. Partner does not want you outshining them. Unflattering costume is taking you down a few pegs. Who do you think you are? Partner probably never expected you to be successful. And despite having your biggest hater in your house, you still were. So before I get into some of the amazing comments that people left on the Patreon, I just want to emphasize that As a coach of writers, the thing that got in the way more than anything was not their ego, not their fear, not their imposter syndrome. It was always men. They'd be so close to even sell an article, their first pitch ever, sold it, amazing story, and then they disappear into a relationship. I am telling you, I would love to know how, now that women are like decent, are really like more like, oh my God, we got really a decent man. We got to stop, raise your standards, don't settle, don't be with them. Some people are just tapping out entirely. I can't wait to see the art that's going to come from that. So many hilarious, talented, incredible women or non-binary femmes who are with men who have them so busy, so occupied, so stressed, so sick, so full of like health problems, because walking on eggshells around someone is unbelievably exhausting. And as Cecilia Regina talks about, did a video recently about it, about how men will use domestic labor as a form of abuse. Make you do all these chores, make you redo them, literally giving you more and more stuff to do. The same thing that cults do. I got to do a video on this soon. Someone I follow talks about cults, and then also kind of puts them in relationship to patriarchy and white supremacy culture and capitalism and imperialism and colonialism and all this, and the military, and how at the end of the day, it's all about extracting free labor. It's all about free labor, exploiting labor. And men will do this to their wives all the time. Parents will do this to their kids too. I can't wait, now that women are learning to center themselves in small ways and big ways. I can't wait to see the art that's going to come out of that. I can't wait, because one of the reasons, besides the gatekeepers being mostly rich white men and all that stuff, it's not just a gatekeeper problem. It is women fighting for time to be creative because they are doing everything for men. How many amazing articles could you have written? Paintings could you have done? Sculptures could have, what's the verb for that, done if you hadn't spent so much time cleaning up after him, bailing him out of this, managing his schedule, doing all these things that he should be doing for himself. And that's just like, if just marriage under patriarchy with most men. I'm not even talking about abusive situation. I'm just talking about like baseline exploitation of labor. So the more women are starting to center themselves in their marriages, in their relationships, in by tapping out and not dating, in every way, like just learning how to do it in a way so that then they can actually show up in ways that feel good. I can't wait to see the art. I can't wait. So I don't have time to read all the comments, but this one, was talking about how imagine, like, and I hadn't thought about this. This partner has seen all the things she's done. Like, y'all see the final product. And Patreon, I talk a little bit about like behind the scenes, but Anthony's really the only person in my life right now who understands what goes into all of this. And so he's my biggest cheerleader, other than Liz, maybe, my BFF. But because he sees the daily in and out, and he is there for me emotionally every time something like today happens where I get a video demonetized that I spent so much time on, or that's why he is one of the moderators on my channel. That's why he does everything he can to support my work, because he sees what I go through and how hard it is and how much I love it and care for it and how important it is to me, and he appreciates it. Imagine having a partner who sees how hard you're working on it, and instead of being the supportive cheerleader, because I'm his cheerleader, he's my cheerleader. But women are not used to having cheerleaders other than other women usually, because men are our biggest haters. We literally, in every movie I've watched growing up, Gen Xer is like football player and a cheerleader. Yay, 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 yay. And just cheering them on, even though cheering is a very dangerous, intense, hard sport. Some might even argue it's harder than football. It sure seems like it. Seeing her go through the process of writing it and coordinating, bringing it to the production, and instead of being happy for her, all I can think about is either A, he's trying to actively sabotage, or B, he is so full of self-pity because he's jealous that he is ruining this amazing thing that she had because he can't do anything but center himself and his big king baby feeling. Oh, and see, she brings it up here. Moms already do a good job of guilt tripping ourselves when we shouldn't, and for him to pick something as personal as their child to guilt her with is so agree. Also gaslighting, right? And as this person who want to be anonymous said, my fear would also be confronting him would make it worse. I think in situations like this, well, it depends. It depends on it. This is the very first time and all the context around it, right? Is he a great dad? Is he a loving and supportive partner in general? And this is the first time he's done this? Because if it's not the first time he's shown any sign of this, I agree. I don't know if I'd bring it up. I would clock it and pay attention because this may make it worse. And if this man is like abusive, then like you always want to be like 10 steps ahead of them because I promise you, these men are always ahead of you. Never underestimate these men. I always thought I was like at least one step ahead of my ex because he's like dumb as rocks. No, predator. They are really smart when it comes to one thing, predatoring. This person also gave their own example, which I don't have time to go into, but this is a really good point. I could always tolerate that my family was unsupportive of my work, but this was actually destructive. I didn't have time to sort out how they were feeling or why they were acting this way. I had a show to do. That's the other thing. My ex, the first time he was physically abusive with me was the day of my one-woman show. Now that I look back, I'm pretty sure that was intentional. And I somehow did it anyway. It wasn't my best show, but it's amazing how we can just like compartmentalize things and get it done because we have to. But yeah, it was learning about abuse that I was like, oh my God, all of this was so intentional. And as Jude said, either you are front row cheering or we are just not going to continue. Yep. This person, I can't read it because I didn't block out their name, said an envious person will unalive you in every possible way. So Marissa shared a story and reminded me of how much like pay attention if you are getting a degree. So this is if you're in college, like a young person dating someone, or if you were in college going and getting your master's, your doctorate, going back to school for something. If these men are sabotaging your tests with nonsense, busy errands, picking a fight the day before a presentation or a test, this is a huge red flag. They do this all the time with work and with school. Someone else shared this story, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can pause if you want to read it. Was working hard towards a BA in French and Russian. The goal, I love this. Y'all are so interesting. People who follow me are so interesting. All y'all have the most interesting story. And they see it like from, anyway, I love learning this stuff. The goal was to use my top secret clearance, military background, and education to get a job working for the government as an interpreter. In order to do this, I needed a master's degree requiring a move to a university that offered Russian, MA. My career would also require moving somewhere like Washington, D.C. My ex agreed to this for 10 years. This is a switch up situation, y'all. I busted my 4.0 and then 6 months before finishing, refused to leave, like to move for this. You gotta choose between me and your career. And then here it is. Y'all, you wouldn't believe how many men actually want a trad wife. I'm telling you, so many of them you don't know. And then you find this out, especially now that they're getting radicalized. The thing about all these men getting radicalized is they are showing us their true colors sooner because you can pick up on some of the language. Anyway, but look at this. This was the switch up, right? My graduation felt more like a funeral than a celebration. I would argue that that's what a lot of marriages are like. Women just don't know it's their funeral until it's too late. Later, I learned he resented me and fell in love with someone else. Ugh. By the time he left, I was penniless. See? Ugh. I was broke, too broke to move, and my language skills had dried up. This makes me so mad. I'm so sorry. Now, the reason why I want women to take this super seriously is because dating one man who doesn't like himself, is full of entitlement, is jealous of you, and is just like an insecure man who won't work on himself. He's the bully, and you're the little nerd, the living nerd, and he's gonna ruin so many parts of your life, your health and all this. But financial abuse, I don't think we understand how much men financially abuse us. I was taught financial abuse is men having all the money and holding it over you. No, this These are ways that I financial abuse. And our finances are the foundation of our sense of security. When you threaten that, this is life and death. Y'all, we really got to stop underestimating men. I know they convinced us that they're stupid, but they're not. They're calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. They're playing the long game a lot of time, and we need to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Please join my Patreon, or if you don't want to mess with that, I may add like a membership level for people who don't want to do Patreon, where I can share the same stuff but on this app. But I don't know how to do that. It may take me a while to figure that out. But let me know if you're interested in that, because I don't know. I don't know how to do all these things. I figure them out. But some people just like don't want to go over there. But so I don't, whatever. Anyway, please like, comment, share. Tell me your thoughts, drop your experiences, do whatever. I really appreciate you being here, listening to this, and for all of your comments. I always learn so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Et voila.